You guys know what this represents?
What else?
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr.
We have the
President?
world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Mr. President, what did you mean by calm before the storm yesterday? What did you mean by that?
Thank you very much.
After a wink and a pause,
You'll find out.
the comment especially ominous as the United States is engaged in a war of words with North Korea, and the president is on the verge of decertifying the nuclear deal with Iran.
Blessed are the eyes that see what you see. For I tell you, many kings and prophets have desired to see what you see, and have not seen it. To hear what you hear, and have not heard it. I thank you, Father, for hiding these things from the learned and the wise, and revealing them to the innocent and the simple.
In Northern California, the fires have destroyed more than 1,500 homes and businesses, including its famous wineries. The devastation looks and feels apocalyptic.
In Southern California this afternoon, several hillside homes went up in flames, pushed by strong Santa Ana winds. Firefighters are making a desperate stand to save others that are burning. It is just one of several wildfires that is overwhelming the state. The worst in Northern California's wine country, which broke out late last night. Home after home completely engulfed, some burning to the ground before firefighters could even arrive.
I just saw flames all up on the hill behind my house.
The fire was fanned by nearly 50-mile-per-hour winds and raged through several towns in Napa and Sonoma counties. It was well after midnight when many homeowners got the urgent call. They had just minutes to get out.
20-something horses. I want to evacuate.
Patients from 2 hospitals were also evacuated as flames grew close. And this is what Alyssa O'Gorman saw as she fled her home in Calistoga.
This is my neighborhood in flames, completely in flames.
By daybreak, the extent of the damage became painfully clear. Entire neighborhoods overrun, little left but the smoldering remains of hundreds of homes, block after block reduced to rubble. Today, as the fire kept growing, it threatened even more communities. Residents like David Ramirez tried to salvage whatever he could. Just seconds after he fled, his home caught fire. Yet another total loss.
Dashcam video appears to show the moment a tornado touched down in Caldwell County, North Carolina.
It's down again.
Throughout the Carolinas Sunday, tornadoes and funnel clouds were reported as remnants of Hurricane Nate moved through. The Category 1 storm slammed the Mississippi coast Sunday morning, just hours after it made its first landfall in Louisiana. The strength of the hurricane-force winds could be seen in this parking garage in Biloxi as it filled with water.
This is inside the Golden Nugget Casino.
The entrance to the Golden Nugget Casino in Biloxi looked more like a swimming pool.
In the Hard Rock Casino's parking lot, the surge slammed cars into each other. By then, the gamblers were long gone.
Despite Nate's ferocity, most of the Gulf states were spared major damage. But parts of the Carolinas don't seem to be as lucky.
It was like a slow rotation, and then all of a sudden it just all come together at one time.
An apparent twister ripped through Burke County, North Carolina, knocking this home off its foundation, uprooting trees and snapping power poles. At the Cleveland County Fair, people were ordered to evacuate as an ominous black cloud hovered above. Across the border in South Carolina, a possible tornado flattened mobile homes. In Pickens County, this home was destroyed while a family was still inside.
In Arizona, authorities will continue searching for a missing boy today after a flash flood tore through a popular swimming spot over the weekend. The flood killed 9 people, including children. You can see in the video just what happened. An intense thunderstorm sent water, mud, and debris rushing down a mountain into a river below. It surprised a group that had set up lounge chairs and prepared for a day of swimming in the area north of Phoenix. Rescuers have recovered the bodies of 5 children and 4 adults and will continue searching for a missing teenage boy today.
From the air, Luxing Village doesn't look much different to others around here, except for what appears to be uneven patches of earth dug randomly. Villagers are experiencing a curious phenomena. They found the earth splitting beneath their feet a month ago.
A side of our shed slipped. We had to move to a shed further up, but even there we had to put stones on the legs of our bed because the ground had become uneven.
The family which used to live here has gone. Villagers don't know where to. They say they can hear rumbling noises at night, as if a river is flowing underneath. Trees planted together have been separated by the earth shifting. Danko Kumari says that even if she accepts a government grant for a permanent house, there is nowhere safe to build. A village representative says there has been a mass exodus. Everyone who can afford to move has left.
Under the gate to Raqqa's old city, the bodies of 5 dead ISIS fighters rot in the desert heat. They were killed a week ago, according to these American-backed militiamen, one of them still wearing a suicide belt. The stench of death is everywhere in Raqqa, and so is fear. This is how you get to the front line, at breakneck speed to avoid ISIS snipers. There's the thud of US coalition airstrikes. But we saw only sporadic fighting, because ISIS, with as few as 250 fighters remaining in the city, is pinned down.
And we're about, I'd say, less than 100 yards from the hospital.
They're in what's left of the main hospital and other buildings close by, and they have human shields. In this broken city, it's thought there are still around 2,000 civilians. America's allies on the ground are out for revenge. Many have lost family members to ISIS. Hassan Sharif is a taxi driver who just escaped from the city. He told us about the Yazidi women, a religious minority captured by ISIS as sex slaves and auctioned off in the middle of the city. They'd shout $100 for this one, he told us. They did it to terrify us, to show they could do it to us if we didn't obey them.
The Libyan prosecutor general says that they have found the bodies of 21 Egyptians who ISIL has beheaded more than 2 years ago. Sadiq al-Sur, the head of investigations for the Libyan Attorney General, made the announcement on Friday. According to him, an ISIL militant arrested a week earlier had pointed out the whereabouts of the bodies. Inspecting the indicated site, Libyan investigators have found human bodies handcuffed and in orange suits, a common trait in ISIL's videos. It was one of ISIL's most brutal propaganda videos. 21 Christian Egyptians slaughtered on a beach in Libya. The video was released in February 2015 and had shifted the balance of power in the troubled country. Furious at this shocking death of its citizens, the Egyptian armed forces announced for the first time holding airstrikes in Libya. The attacks targeted suspected militant hideouts and many followed. Throughout these 2 years, Cairo has coordinated more strikes with the Libyan National Army, sharing intelligence and vowing to wipe out ISIL from Libya. Now the bodies are expected to be repatriated this week for proper burial in Egypt. Remembering this tragedy once again will revive grievances and pain buried in the hearts of family members for years. But finding the bodies of their lost ones will finally give them a most needed peace.
As we face the coming tide of the violence that Antifa, the Democratic Socialists, and other treasonous groups are fomenting, it's important to see their Zelenskyite tactics for what they are. In Saul Alinsky's handbook for the coming uprising of the left, titled Rules for Radicals, we can clearly see how Zelensky's rules are being applied. Rule number 1, power is not what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have.
Well, let's be clear that Antifa are not calling on the government to censor anyone. In fact, that they resist the notion of turning to the government or turning to the police, who we've seen have been infiltrated by white supremacists who have been sympathetic to the sort of return to law and order notion of fascism. And so the idea is the real enemies of free speech are fascists. We've seen that historically.
Number 2, never go outside the expertise of your people.
What about when an Antifa member stabbed a police horse in the neck with a knife? Was the horse a racist Trump supporter?
Yes. So the horse...
I didn't know horses could vote.
You see, the horse is a tool of the police, and the police, under the Trump administration, have been increasingly intolerant, militarized.
Number 3, whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy.
No, but you are an easy person to dislike.
I mean, no, I'm an easy person to target by fascists. That's why this organization called Far Left Watch is going through my tweets, finding tweets from 3 weeks back, and I don't know if you've gone through my Twitter.
Number 4, make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. Number 5, ridicule is man's most potent weapon.
As someone who has cops in my family, I'm offended by that. Because the people I know who are cops, they have kids.
Are they immortal?
Number 6, a good tactic is one your people enjoy. They'll keep doing it without urging and come back to do more.
My dear friends, no fascist USA, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
Number 7, a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Don't become old news. Number 8, keep the pressure on, never let up.
As blood is actually reflected in Las Vegas's rising sun, she decides to manipulate the pain, the anger, and direct it toward lawful gun owners. She tweets, "Imagine the deaths if the shooter had a silencer, which the NRA wants to make easier." Hillary, there's a reason you lost the election. As Americans come together, you seek to divide, not sympathize, not empathize, showing just how hollow a tin man you are.
Number 9, the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Number 10, the major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. Number 11, if you push a negative hard enough, it will push through and become a positive. Violence from the other side can win the public to your side because the public sympathizes with the underdog. Number 12, the price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. Never let the enemy score points because you're caught without a solution to the problem. Number 13, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it.
White people, not me, because you know what, out there, in the premises of the university, I deal with microaggressions on the daily, as do other people of color, and you have people out there wearing hats like those, y'all don't say about it.
Because
How
I have the
about
right
that?
to.
Make America great again, really lynchings, mass genocide, mass deportation, constant killings, and y'all are just gonna shut the up?
In order to counteract Saul Alinsky's treasonous rules for radicals, I'll add my own personal rule for patriots. Once you see the enemy for what they truly are, they become what they truly are.